Hello and welcome to PMCLounge.com. Today we are answering a question, not just one question actually. We keep receiving questions around the PMP application form. So, how do you fill that application? How do you show your experience and stuff like that? So, the answer is actually available on the PMI.org website itself, and that is why we will be going over to the PMI.org website today and looking at some of the tips that the PMI themselves have provided for the PMP aspirants to fill in the application, right? So let's get started. Let's look into and hear from the horse's mouth. All right, let's go to pmi.org. So this is the pmi.org website. I'll share the link, the direct link to this page. So there are some application tips that they have provided here, right? So first in, validate you performed the role of project manager. As you're already aware, you need certain experience to be eligible for the PMP exam, right? So you need to validate you perform the role of project manager. How do you do that? You need to demonstrate that you have led and directed cross-functional teams to deliver a project within the constraints of schedule, budget, and scope, right? So you must have led and directed the cross-functional teams. You have applied a suitable approach to managing the project to fulfill requirements, and thirdly, perform these duties under general supervision but were responsible for all aspects of the project. So you might have performed these activities under a program manager or under, let's say, someone who looks after program management, who is a senior project manager or something like that. But you were ultimately responsible for all these aspects of the project, all the aspects of the project, right? All the knowledge areas, all the processes, everything. You were the one who were responsible for it, right? So there's a tip here as well that within the application specifically explain what you did and were responsible for to demonstrate these actions, not what the project team did. So on the application, don't talk about what your project team did. Talk about what you did, and you need to validate that the experience that you have is of the role of a project manager. Now, a lot of people think that they need their title, right? Their job title has to be project manager to be able to qualify for this kind of experience. But that is not the truth. Your job experience can be anything. All right, you can be a scrum master, you can be let's say a junior project manager, you could be someone who has a job title that has nothing to do with project management, right? You might be called something uh, as innovative as, a project leader or a project champion or something like that, right? So as long as you're performing these duties, you are essentially doing the role of the project manager, and that is acceptable. You need to validate that you have performed this role and you have taken care of these responsibilities, right? So describe your project experience. How do you describe your project experience? During the application process, you will be required to individually detail each project you managed professionally. In your description, you should include. So for those of you who have filled their applications, even half of even if you have not submitted it, if you have just filled half of your application, you already know that you need to provide individual details as well, right? So what do you need to include there? A brief summary of the project objective, what the project accomplished, your responsibilities and project deliverables by process area, which is initiating, executing, planning, monitoring, and controlling, closing, right? So, what were your responsibilities and what were the deliverables uh, in respective process areas? And a brief summary of the project outcome. So, what did the project actually accomplished? What was the outcome, right? So, you can use abbreviations for process groups, example IN for initiating, to allow more space for your description. So, I think there's some limit as well. I don't remember what that limit is, but there's a character limit in the text box where you enter these, the details of your project experience. So you can use the abbreviation to save space. So that's how you describe your project experience. And finally, confirm your project management education. So at least 35 hours of formal project management education is necessary to qualify for the PMP, right? Notice that they don't say PDUs. They're talking about 35 hours of formal project management education. It doesn't say 35 PDUs. Notice that. All right. So consistent with topics included within the PMP exam content outline, you can take a look at the content outline as well. Demonstrated through successful completion of courses, workshops, and or training sessions that include some form of assessment or certificate of completion. So that is the reason why when you go to an REP and get yourself the 35 hours of education, right, the contact hours, they give you a certificate of completion that you attended this, and that will be required as part of your PMP application. Obtained in advance by submitting your application, but could have been accrued at any point in the past, right? So you must have obtained these in advance of submitting your application. So before you're submitting your application, you must have obtained those 35 hours, but they could have been accrued at any point in the past. So your these 35 hours could have been accrued at any point in the past, but you need to have them complete before you go ahead and fill out the application. Do not include forms of self-directed learning, right? So if you are watching this video, you cannot claim some sort of contact hours for this. This is your self-directed learning or attendance at meetings, presentations as contact hours. These will not be accepted. So you cannot say that you are managing a project wherein you are on calls, meetings, presentations at least 10 hours every week. So in 3.5 weeks you should be able to have 35 contact hours. That is not how it works. These hours are something different. These, like it mentions, are formal project management education. This is not your meetings and presentations and all that, right? So that's all that I had in this video. Hope you were able to follow these tips. I'll share the direct link in the description below so you can go and read for yourself as well. Subscribe to this channel, hit the bell icon, and do hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Check us out on our social media. PMC Lounge is our handle on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And as always, do check out the website pmclounge.com, your number one free resource for PMP and other project management certifications, as well as project management industry information. Thank you.